Call this meeting to order of the Attleboro School Committee. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You've been noticed that this meeting is being electronically recorded. First thing, it was a moment of silence for Marilyn Tenno, who was a fourth grade teacher for 18 years at DeVille Elementary School. Thank you very much. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Our first order is chairman's recognition. I think tonight it is, we should be noted that we did have the groundbreaking ceremonies for the Attleboro track and field complex. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it. Seems like the weather was a little stormy out there, getting a little stormy, but I thank everybody for attending that. In relation to that, we also did have a Dolly St. Germain Miracle Mom Foundation golf tournament that was held on June 8th, and all proceeds are going to benefit the concession stand for the new Attleboro track and field complex. And I think it's important that people know that actually the bathrooms are actually part of the concession stand. So we really wanted to bring that up. It's a great effort, and it's being run by Principal Bill Rooney and Mark Gould, our athletic director. So they're doing a great job, and it was a fine tournament down there. There was, I would have to say, between 60 or maybe 80 golfers on a nice Saturday. And they had the benefit of me not being able to play, so everybody was safe from my errant shots that go off the tee. So, again, I want to thank the Miracle for Mom Foundation for putting that tournament on for the great cause. Next on our recognitions, I think the school committee over the last year and a half, we've recognized many members of the Attleboro School Committee for their outstanding achievements, students, teachers, administrators, central office staff, support staff, for all they've done to make sure that the Attleboro school system is definitely the system on the rise. You know, we've been recognized by the state and federal that we are definitely a system on the rise. And I think in recognition of that, so I'm going to actually go against protocol tonight, because the person that we're recognizing, the one thing that me and her came to great strides about is no surprises. Dr. Durkin has always said, no surprises, that's the way to go about it. And Dr. Durkin, I'm kind of breaking that tonight a little bit, because the surprise is we're recognizing our 7-year tenured superintendent of the schools, Dr. Ph.D. I think those who don't know, Dr. Durkin has led this district into great strides. Test scores, the graduation, I should say, it's just, I don't know what to put. I had a prepared speech for this, and I'm not good at prepared speeches, and I realize it sounds kind of scripted, and that may be a Yoga Berra moment there, but it's also, it doesn't recognize the great strides that this district has made under Dr. Durkin's leadership. I think a lot of these achievements that we've recognized in the last year and a half might have been possible, but they were certainly made possible by a leadership at the top. It takes somebody to be a strong leader to change the system that 7 years ago that needed a major shakeup, and Dr. Durkin has definitely delivered on that. I think, as you all know, that Dr. Durkin now has taken on the responsibility to be the superintendent of the New Bedford Public Schools, a school system that does need the same thing that Attleboro needed 7 years ago, but basically encompasses 26 schools, I believe, Dr. Durkin.
Yep.
So the challenge is very daunting, but I'm sure she's going to have great success, just as she has in Attleboro. And I wish her nothing but the best of luck, and I'm sure that all of us in the community wish her nothing best of luck, especially all she brought to Attleboro. So, Dr. Durkin, I do thank you, and I thank you on behalf of the committee for doing so. First, I would like to recognize, we have from the city, we have our city council president, Frank Cook, and I believe we have city councilor Richard Conti also in the audience. I'd like to recognize him. So, Mr. Cook, if you would please step up to the podium.
Thank you, Chairman Tyler, and also thank you members of the school committee for inviting myself on behalf of the City Council. As you mentioned, I am joined by Councilor Richard Conti. I don't think any of my other colleagues are here this evening. But Dr. Durkin, I'm here to present a resolution from the City Council in your honor. Before I do that, I just wanted to let you know that from a personal note, I will miss you. I've appreciated your candor. I've appreciated your emphasis on teaching and learning, and I also appreciate the fact that, be it the capital improvements or be it the budget, you always gave us the information that I felt as a council we needed in order to make an informed decision. I also appreciate the fact that since we're both in the same profession, your willingness to take calls early in the morning. I can remember, I think you were here and I was driving to school. I don't teach in Attleboro, by the way. I can't do that as a member of the City Council. But being able to talk to you and get some of the information from you, your door was always open, and I appreciated those opportunities where I could come in and speak with you. And then as a special educator, there were times that I had to keep our conversation short because I had kids who were about to be coming into a class. But I always appreciated that. I think that the other night you saw a measure of how highly regarded you were viewed by the City Council when, following my totally impromptu remarks, the council broke into a spontaneous standing ovation, just to show how much that they had appreciated you. So it's bittersweet being here. I do wish you the best as you move on, but on behalf of the council, I do have a resolution of appreciation that I'd like to present to you. This is for Dr. Pia Durkin. Whereas Dr. Pia Durkin was appointed as Superintendent of Schools in 2006 and has been a visible, accessible leader in the schools and throughout the community. And whereas Dr. Durkin made significant progress for special education, low-income, and English language learner students, implemented the full-day kindergarten for Attleboro Public Schools, and more than doubled the participation in advanced placement courses for Attleboro High School. And whereas Dr. Durkin was instrumental in increasing the graduation rate and decreasing the dropout rate for Attleboro Public School students. And whereas a family community survey conducted told us 65% believe that Attleboro Public Schools is providing a quality education that will prepare our children for the future. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Attleboro Municipal Council recognizes and wishes to extend its appreciation for your several years of faithful and compassionate service with the Attleboro School Department. We join the employees of the city to thank you for your dedicated professionalism and strong commitment to the school children of Attleboro. We wish you great happiness and health in all your future endeavors, and that is signed and sealed on behalf of the council the 17th day of June in the year 2013 by myself, Frank P. Cook, the council president. So again, best wishes as you move on, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
At this time, I'd like to call up the Honorable Mayor, Kevin J. Dumas.
Thank you, Chairman Tyler, members of the school committee, for you, Dr. Durkin. Also, last week we had the opportunity to be able to say some very kind words on what you've done for the city of Attleboro, and particularly the 6,000 students who are in our public school system. I've enjoyed working with you, and you're going to be sorely missed. And it's not going to be the same, but certainly, hopefully, be able to have that same type of relationship with the new superintendent. But the district would certainly not be in the same direction if it wasn't for you. And to be able to have the staff following your leadership, and it was just remarkable to see a dramatic difference. And as shown in the slide presentation last week at the council, it speaks volumes with you and the work of all the dedicated staff that you have with you. And certainly, I hope that you bring that to New Bedford. And Mayor Mitchell is a very lucky person to be able to be having you join him. So it is also my honor for this resolution of appreciation to you, Dr. Pia Durkin. Whereas Dr. Durkin has been the superintendent of our Attleboro School District since 2006. And whereas Dr. Durkin is leaving Attleboro on July 1st, 2013 to be the new superintendent of the schools in New Bedford. And whereas Dr. Durkin led our school district in the journey towards excellence. And whereas under Dr. Durkin's tutelage, the students of Attleboro have made great strides towards excellence. So now therefore, I, Kevin J. Dumas, Mayor of the City of Attleboro, hereby duly recognize you for your tremendous efforts on behalf of the students of Attleboro and wish you well in your new endeavors. Signed and sealed the 17th day of June in the year 2013 by myself, Kevin G. Dumas, Mayor.
Next, I'd like to welcome State Representative Paul Hurrell.
Dr. Durkin, you are just leaving as I'm coming on board, but your reputation precedes you. You have a very good reputation of being an excellent leader and educator, and so New Bedford's lucky to have you going there.
Thank you.
I have a citation from the House of Representatives, and this is from Betty Poirier and I. And let's go ahead and read this. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts House of Representatives. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Dr. Pia Durkin in recognition of leading Attleboro Public Schools as a superintendent on their journey towards excellence. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 17th day of June 2013 at the State House, but really here in Attleboro, by Robert A. Delio, Speaker of the House, and your state representatives, Paul Hurrell and Betty Poirier.
Thank you. Can I just say one thing? I mean,
Absolutely,
this
Dr.
really was a team effort, and there is no superintendent in the world who would say that he or she has done it alone. And I'm very humbled by your kind words, but I had the benefit and the privilege of leading a terrific team of educators and staff people who, all 700 of them, have contributed to this. So I leave to them a legacy of to have it continue. But it's not about one person. So I thank you for the recognition. But again, I have to say it really is my staff who made me look good every day and continues to do that. And I hope as I leave here, they remember all that we've done together and the challenges we've taken on and find the resilience within themselves to keep it going, because that's what's important. It's about sustainability. Superintendents have only so much of a shelf life, and I've been very privileged to be here for 7 years and have loved doing it. And I do think it's now time for others to take up the gauntlet and be able to carry it forward, and I do think they will. So thank you.
We have a representative from Senator Timberley's office. I know that Jim may be running late. I just want to make sure we didn't have a representative. Okay, at this time, was there any member of the audience who would like to step up to the podium and speak on behalf of Dr. Durkin? Then please feel free to step forward.
I know you said I shouldn't be speaking up here, but here I am.
No, just to the commissioner. That was the only one. I didn't care about it. Right?
I'm Kathy City. I'm the principal of Thatcher Elementary School, and I have also been the principal of Willow Elementary School. And what I wanted to leave everyone with is similar to the sentiments you just stated to us. It's not about one person, but there is something that you brought to us. I consider you a defining moment. There's a book called Defining Moments. It is about making choices between right and right. Dr. Durkin is a person who is also a defining moment for many of us, including myself. A defining moment for me was when I received the call to work here while I was at a Red Sox game and I really couldn't hear you.
Right, I remember that.
A defining moment for me was when you mentored me through my first year at Willett. But the main defining moment was you calling me and giving me the opportunity to come here. And you have given the opportunity to so many people to stretch themselves when we're not sure we can do what we can do, when there are challenges and behind-the-scene challenges that we don't even know about and all of a sudden they appear. My biggest fear was that I would be blindsided. You were a defining moment because you made sure that I wouldn't be blindsided. And that if I was, perchance, you were still there. For many people, you are a defining moment, and they will not recognize that until years later. The people you mentored at Attleboro High School, you do the walk, not just the talk. for the students who you asked today, how many of you are going to college in first grade? Almost every hand rose and wanted to tell you what they're going to do when they get there. For the teachers you gave proclamations to who've retired over the years, you have been there. You know who they are. You have been a defining moment more than a person. But as a person, you've stretched us and made us who we are, and we will sustain what you have started, because the defining moment was that we met you. And I thought you should know, and everyone should know that.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kathleen D. Simone. I live in Attleboro. I have 2 children in the schools, and I came to speak at open forum, but I can't resist the opportunity, Dr. Durkin. Plus, I like a podium. But I have to say thank you as an Attleboro resident for everything that you've done for the city, as the parent of 2 children in the school system, and as a woman who's a professional. You lean in. I don't know if you've read the book by Sheryl Sandberg.
Yes, I'm in the middle of it.
You lean so far in, Dr. Durkin. You have set the bar very high as an educator, as a professional, as a woman to be taken seriously. And there's one thing, people may have their issues with whatever, but the one thing that can never be doubted and is absolutely beyond dispute is your 100% commitment to the children of Attleboro. That was never in question, Dr. Durkin. That should never have been doubted at all. You were all in, and I thank you, and I wish you well, but you don't need any good luck.
No, but thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
I've really
Dr.
enjoyed you and your children and representing the families of Attleboro. It has been a great run, and this community really embraced me. I only knew a handful of people when I walked in here, and now I've got a whole group in my heart as I go to New Bedford, so that's important.
I'm in your fan club, Dr. Durkin. Good luck.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Oh,
You're
you're
very
very
kind to
welcome.
you.
Good luck to you.
Take care of those kids. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Dennis Waltz, the Attleboro Recreation Director. Welcome, Dennis.
Yes, I am the Attleboro Recreation Director, but I'm here tonight as a parent of 2 students who have gone through Attleboro Public Schools during Dr. Durkin's tenure. And I hear a lot about the tough side of Dr. Durkin. I never worked for her, so I don't know that side. But I'll tell you the side that I do know. I know that the side that has a scholarship for a senior boy 2 years ago, at least, that I know very well, that graduated with a scholarship that Dr. Durkin provided for him. I know about the students that she mentors here at the high school. And as a parent, I know about little things that she does, like when my son played in a basketball game, his first basketball game. And he was all excited, and everyone was excited. He did pretty well. But what tells you what the type of person she is and how she cares about the kids is that the next day, when he came home from school, my wife goes through the backpack. She goes, "What's this?" It was a handwritten note from Dr. Durkin. "Nice job last night. We're proud of you." And he's not the only child that she did that to. Numerous parents I talked to got similar notes. And those are the things that you don't hear out in the public, things like that she was doing. So I wish you well in New Bedford. We're very fortunate to have you. I will say that I'm glad to see Mr. Rooney taking your footsteps to a certain degree here at the high school, because my wife and I called you the Energizer Bunny when you first got here, and long after, wherever we went, there you were. I don't know how you
He's
did it.
a close second, though.
And now he's catching right up to you. So we wish you the best of luck, and thank you for all you've done for our
Thank you
students.
very much, Dennis. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Please say something, please. When I was in 8th grade, to be honest, my parents didn't really want me to come to Attleboro High School. I came from a private school in Day Springs, South Attleboro, and they were very skeptical. They thought, like, "Oh, it's a tough public school. Like, how are you going to be able to transition?" And honestly, I've been here 3 years, and their presuppositions have completely been overturned. I've had a great experience, and I have Peter Durkin and all you guys to thank for that. And thank you.
I have a lot to work with, though, when you came here, so that was good. Thank you.
very much for all coming forward. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the school committee members who might want to share a comment. And I'd like to start with Ms. Franzito.
We're really gonna miss you. You've done a great job.
Oh, thank you,
I
Fran.
personally will miss you, and New Bedford is very lucky to be getting you,
Thank you so much.
and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Mr. Murphy?
Would you like a formal presentation?
Yes, I would want to open it up to the committee and then we'll do.
Sure. Okay, sounds good. Dr. Durkin, as a parting tribute to you, I'll try to keep my comments brief.
But that's okay.
I met Dr. Durkin several years ago when we were asked to appear on a local cable show
For
to
the
talk
roof.
about. It was renovations to the high school. The project may have been a little more extensive at the time, but it is a nice roof that we have, though. And at the time, it never would have occurred to me that several years later, after not seeing Dr. Durkin for several years, that I would find myself working with you in this capacity. I still can't really believe that, but yeah, here we are. And what I would say, and I would certainly echo all the comments that have already been said, but in all the years that I've known Dr. Durkin, I have never doubted for a moment the degree to which each and every single student, from our students in the Early Learning Center at Thatcher, all the way through all the various programs at the high school, were equally of her concern. And not just their performance as students and the degree to which she wanted to see them stretch themselves, but their futures and what type of lives they would being prepared for. I know most of the citations and the proclamations that you'll be receiving tonight feature the district's motto, the journey toward excellence. And I know throughout the course of the last 7 years that journey has sometimes felt more like a struggle toward excellence. And maybe most journeys I think worth taking usually are. But it's been a struggle to deepen the community's commitment to education, a struggle to expand the opportunities for our students, and a struggle to really maximize student achievement throughout the Attleboro School District. And although, as you said, there are a lot of individuals, many of whom were in the district for years prior to your arrival, that are to be thanked for that. It would not have been possible without your leadership. And at your final Attleboro High School commencement, afterwards, the student representative, Max Lancaster, who's away at a leadership conference right now, asked me if the student representatives were expected to be at the school committee meeting, the final school committee meeting of the year. And the reason why I said yes, to make sure that Mr. Clark would be here, is that more so than anyone else in this room, Mr. Clark embodies your legacy, because the students who will graduate from this school system in the years ahead, although they will not shake your hand as they come across the dais, they will be the beneficiaries of the work that you led and the work that you did here. So although I hope you enjoy the proclamations and the citations and the plaque that Mrs. Zito is going to hand to you in a moment, I think the best tribute that we can really pay to you is an assurance that that work, that journey, and that struggle will continue for years to come. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. And that's the legacy I hope to leave. So well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Bill?
Saying thank you seems so small and so shallow, but knowing what you've done for Attleboro and all the kids, and I don't know how many times I've heard you keep using the word all, because it is all the kids and it's all your staff and it's everybody involved, and that's just so important. I mean, in your journey, in our journey, you wanted, and you've always wanted to see everybody on the journey, and like the word journey, you don't ever finish, but you have to make sure that everything's heading in the right direction and everybody's heading in the right direction, and you've been a great leader for Attleboro to make sure that we're all heading in the right direction. So I say thank you, and I it's so small, but it means so much.
Well, thank you so much, Bill. I truly appreciate your words. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chris?
Dr. Durkin, I, unlike most everybody else here, will be brief. Thank you mostly and probably primarily for your persistence and dedication in the face of those who doubted you and your commitment to this school system, to our children, and to the citizens of this city, because what you've done here is turn around a system that needed it desperately, and you've raised expectations for people, not just in the school system, but the people who live in the city and the people who go to these schools and the people who live in the communities that surround us. You have raised the expectations and you've raised the bar through your persistent dedication to the people of this city and through the children who go to these schools. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. First, I'd like to recognize Council President Frank Cook and Richard Conti and our Honorable Mayor Dumas and Representative Harrell for coming out tonight and joining this celebration. I think as everybody knows that I am terrible at this. I'm terrible at farewells. I'm terrible at public speaking sometimes, especially when I try to speak from my heart about things. There's been quite a few times where things have happened in the schools where I've had to break off my day, come over and have a conversation with Dr. Durkin, and sometimes that entailed that I had to bring at least one of my children with me. And I can't tell you enough that my youngest one especially, Clay, Dr. Durkin means the world to him.
He's delicious. He really is.
You know, he sees a lot happen in his day, and he says, well, I actually seen Dr. Durkin in school today. That's a high point in his day. So, I mean, I think what I'm trying to express here, you know, even though I had to come into the school for some hard talk with Dr. Durkin, had my child with me, Dr. Durkin would make sure that my children would put aside first, given a book, a warm welcome, and kind of put in the corner of the room so we could go into a serious discussion about what may have happened during that school day. So they both love her, and sadly so. And she's very good with that. Anybody who doesn't think that she's 100% children, I would disagree too. I know that's where her heart is, and my children definitely do that. You know, failure is something that is not even in Dr. Durkin's vocabulary. There's no such thing as failure. It's rework it, regroup, make it happen. It's gonna happen no matter what. And I think that the Attleboro Public Schools have really benefited from that demeanor at the top. You know, we're not going to fail, and we're being recognized now as a community where our school system is above state standards and definitely a system on the rise. And Dr. Durkin, as much as she likes to relate to her staff on that and help, and I'm sure no one person can do it alone, but you do need strong leadership at the top. Somebody that says failure is not an option, and I recognize that, and I appreciate that, and certainly my children appreciate that, and I'm sure many students of Attleboro appreciate that. As taken over as the chairman of the Attleboro School Committee, it was quite an interesting experience, but Dr. Durkin has made it very easy for me. When I said that earlier, that I broke the no surprises, well, Dr. Durkin was that. She wasn't a surprise. She told me what was coming along so I could share it with the fellow committee members. And there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last year and a half that have really put us to the test. I think her leadership has really shined during that time, as it always has. And Dr. Durkin, I can't appreciate enough what you've done for me, what you've done for this district, and how much I appreciate you and wish you the best of luck
Thank you
leading
so
the
much.
Bedford Public Schools.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And at this time, I know we give out Soaring Eagle Awards for achievement above and beyond, but I think at this time, as a school committee, we're going to make a presentation that actually goes above and beyond that. I've asked two members of the school committee to present this. Mr. Murphy has been the person who's put together all the certificates for me on that.
I can still get her a Soaring Eagle if she
Listen,
We
I'm
have-
going
we have-
from
we have
blue
a
to
couple
red.
left.
I mean, that's a big shift. I mean, I don't know what to do with my whole wardrobe. I mean, it's red in New Bedford. Anything red, you know. Would never wear it because it was north, but that's okay, you know.
And the other presenter is going to be our longest tenured school committee member, Ms. Fran Zito,
Oh.
who actually served on the screening committee
Yep.
that hired Dr. Durkin into
Yes.
the Attleboro Public Schools. So
Remember
at
it
this
well.
time, I pass it off to Ms. Zito and Mr. Murphy.
I'll read it, you can do the handoff, how about that? So this plaque, which we hope finds a place into the superintendent's office in New Bedford, reads Dr. Peter Durkin, Superintendent 2006 to 2013, in recognition of advancing Attleboro schools on a journey toward excellence, awarded June 17th, 2013.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, that's gorgeous. Beautiful. I will miss you. It's all about people and relationships. And I have had some of the best times in Attleboro, and I wouldn't be going on to New Bedford if I hadn't been able to have as much good times here, to be able to see a group of people come together and do the right thing for kids. Just stay the course and keep the journey going. So thank you again.
So this time, I'd just like to take a 5-minute recess so Dr. Durkin can recognize all the speakers that come over.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
congratulations. And again, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and especially Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. A track of issues, yeah, nice.
Call this meeting back to order. Time for open forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak at open forum tonight?
Hello, so I'm Kathleen Gismone in Attleboro, 2 kids in the school system. And the reason I came tonight was to say that in the past, I have been a vocal critic of the school committee, but tonight I come to praise. I think fair is fair. I am behind you 100% on the school budget. I didn't know the mayor was going to be in attendance, but I support you guys completely. I too am concerned with technology and class sizes in particular, and I'll be at the city council meeting tomorrow. But please know that there are people out there who are with you and think that the school does need some more funds this year in particular. So thank you for that.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at open forum? Okay, this time I'm closing open forum. Moving on to our consent agenda. Get a motion to accept the donation in the amount of $22 from Skills USA to be deposited in the gift donations line at Attleboro High School.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. A motion to accept the donation in the amount of $751.99 from Stop and Shop to be deposited in the gift donations line at Attleboro High School.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. A motion to accept the donation in the amount of $3,000 from the Feinstein Foundation for deposits in the gift donations line at the Studley Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Great
All those-
donation.
Oop, Bill?
Great donation.
It's really been a great partnership. I can tell you that. It really has been. And the kids are very proud to be part of it and to do their volunteer work. I have a son in Studley, so they're into the program, and it's a very great program. So thank you, Bill. Discussion, Dave?
I just say that thank you to Ms. McSweeney for the initiative she's demonstrated in helping to establish that relationship.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. We have a motion to approve the field study proposal for Attleboro High School for the skills camp for varsity cheerleaders on 0814 through 0815 for grades 9 through 12 students in Hubbardston, Massachusetts.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Dave?
This is a field trip, correct?
Yes.
Not a field study? It's a trip, right? That's what we're approving?
We call them
Cecilia?
field studies.
Oh, really?
Mr.
Okay.
Rooney?
I apologize.
They maintain the educational perspective.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. More discussion?
Nope, definitely not.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. On the new business, superintendent's appointment. Dr. Durkin, I'll let you lead it off from there.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask Mr. Scott Johnson to please come up to the table. Last week, there were several finalist interviews that were conducted by Mr. Sheehan, the incoming superintendent. I was present along with Ms. Zinni, principal of Thatcher, as well as Ms. McCarthy, special ed director, and Mr. Sawyer, assistant superintendent. And Mr. Sheehan made his choice from 3 finalists. Mr. Johnson has been the acting principal at the Henry Lord Middle School in Fall River for the past year, since December. And that school is now closing, and he is going to become the new principal of Hill Roberts. He has a background in many areas in education. Originally, is from Rochester, New York. So we're delighted that in a very quick turnaround, he will become the principal of Hill Roberts beginning on July 1. And Mr. Sheehan will be working with them. And I wanted to give you the opportunity and welcome you and have you say a few words to the committee and to the community as you enter us.
Great, thank you. I wanted to thank the committee and Dr. Durkin and Mr. Sawyer and Mr. Sheehan for the opportunity to come and work for the families and the students in Attleboro schools, and specifically the Hill Roberts Elementary School. And I'm excited about the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, and I'm ready to take those on and get started here in a very, very short time.
Thank you. Question?
Welcome.
Ken?
As a Hill Roberts parent, I just want to say welcome aboard. Currently have a daughter in first grade. you'll see my face often.
Great.
On the PTO. See my wife's face more. Yeah, which, by the way, is our 9th anniversary today, so I might as well at least say hello to my wife for that. But no, welcome aboard. We look forward to you coming along, and look forward to all the great stuff you could do for our kids next year.
Great, thank you.
Barbara?
Yes, I'd like to say welcome also, and I was going to say they have a great PTO there. They do a very good job, great teachers and students, so we've got very capable staff there and a very involved, like I said, PTO and parents, so thank you and welcome aboard.
Great, thank you.
Yes, welcome aboard. I think, as you know, Hill Roberts is probably our most technology advanced school that we have, especially on the elementary level, and that is through the work, as Mr. Parent, Ms. Cross said. A lot of that hard work was done through the PTO, so they're very active, they're very supportive, and I hope they support your efforts moving forward, and please make sure you reach out to them. They're a very valuable asset. So again, welcome aboard. Thank you very much for applying for the job, and we're glad to have you.
Great, thank you very much, appreciate
Thank
it.
Next item on the new business, the annual report 2012-2013 of the Attleboro Public Schools. Again, Dr. Pia Durkin.
And each of the committee members have this in their packet, and as we speak, a report will be sent out to all the city council members as well as our mayor and key community members. It is available on our website, and this is a compiling of not only the district as a whole, but also individual schools. We have done an annual report each year, and I really recommend it. Is great reading to show the progress that we've made, and I hope that you enjoy it, and will be available to be able to create new things for next year. So if there are any questions on the report, I'll be happy to answer them.
One real quick question. Is this already been printed, and is this just a draft?
No, this has been printed, to my understanding, yes.
Okay, is this labeled Mr. Rose as interim business manager?
Okay, then that's
Last
something that
page.
should have been checked, Mr. Sawyer.
We try to catch him all.
Unless if Tom knows something we don't know.
No, he is not interim, no, for sure.
What page is that?
That's the very last page, page 45. It says
Okay.
Central Office, Thomas Rose.
Okay.
Business manager.
Well, I'm not sure we made all the copies. No, we have
No,
not.
just the
So
copies for
thank you
tonight.
for letting us know that. We've made some, but by far, yeah, so we will do that. Any others that you might see, this is an impossible report to kind of go through at times, and I'm not going to pin it on my friend Mr. Sawyer because his eyes are key, but it can get challenging when you keep looking at the same information and realize that there might be an error.
I can catch the easy ones. I think.
No, that's it.
What's
Thank you,
actually
Mr. Parent.
Dave?
We'll email you any others, but
Yeah.
my own question wasn't necessarily substantive to the content either, but I was wondering, are efforts being made to make sure this is disseminated as widely as possible to the building communities, so if principals have email lists, or if there are other ways, newsletters that they're commuting toward the end of the school year?
Right.
There's so much, it's a very rich document with a lot of information, so I think ideally this will get pushed out as much as possible to parents and families.
Right, and you do know that each year we usually do a brochure that's a summary of it. We did not do it this year, obviously, with my leaving the position, but I do recommend you go back to that because that does allow a snapshot and something easy to look through. But this does allow at least people to look through that, and I think we're probably sending this out through our email blast. I'm looking at Ms. Saltzman because you do that a lot. Am I right? Will you be sending this out to parents?
If
at
anyone's
least through
doing email blasts, let's just include this on
Yeah,
the email
okay.
blast. There's gotta be,
Okay,
somebody's
all
gotta
right,
be
okay.
blasting something.
We'll do that. Yep, thank you.
First of all, Tom, you're not going anywhere. But I would have to say, second of all, I mean, Dr. Durkin, I think it's very extensive, and I appreciate that. It really does, it's a nice breakdown of all our schools and the strides that they're making, and I think, Mr. Murphy, you said it before, I mean, this is an advertisement for Attleboro Public Schools. This is why you should come to Attleboro. This is what the strides that we're making. Some of the other comments I've heard through the years did not reflect about what Attleboro is doing. And like I say, we have full day K. There's a lot of reasons why the charter schools are not the place to be. Attleboro Public Schools are the place to be. We're making great strides here. We're going to continue to improve upon them, and we're going to hopefully work with all city entities to make sure that we do so. And so again, I really like the report and the way it's extensive and breaks down to each school, and I really appreciate the effort.
And again, this was a team effort. The principals write big chunks of it, and Michelle Roy puts it together. Dave also steers it to publication. So it is something we start at the beginning of the year, but clearly is something I think that's looked forward to for people to know what the state of our schools are at for the past year. So, and more to come. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Durkin. Okay, our next item on the new business is a personnel report by our Assistant Superintendent, Dave Sawyer.
Our personnel report has 3 items this evening. The first is a resignation. Kate Campbell, the principal of Willett Elementary School, is resigning effective June 30th. And then we have 2 appointments this evening. Catherine Bean, inclusion teacher at Wamsutta, effective September 3rd. And Carrie Damon Ailman, ELA social studies teacher for Coelho, effective September 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Dr. Durkin, yes, before, I hate to interrupt you, but
No.
I think we really need to pull out about our principal at Willett, Mr. Kate Campbell. So if you could just touch upon that.
Sure. I very much want to thank Kate for her her service for the past year. She served as principal at Willett, and if you remember last year, at very short notice, when I needed to move Catherine Zinni to Thatcher, Kate came up and really stepped up to the plate. She's going on to a new challenge. We will clearly miss her. I do want to share with you that as soon as I learned that Kate was accepting the position, I did speak to the incoming superintendent, and he wanted to convey to the committee and the community that he will be conducting a full search for the vacant position as soon as he comes on. So just wanted to let the committee know that. Okay.
Chris and then Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to really quick, I think Kate's here.
Yep, she is.
I just wanted to say thank you again for her service. Everybody I talked to who had kids at Willett always had very positive things to say about Ms. Campbell and her energy and dedication to the students at Willett. And you leave us too soon. Thank you very much for your service. You'll be missed.
I would echo Mr. O'Neill's comments with regard to Ms. Campbell's service and leadership at Willett over the course of the past year, particularly stepping up at the last minute when we needed someone to serve in that position. You note on the personnel report that the date of hire is September 8th, 1992. So although her contributions at Willett have been significant, and we are all grateful for that, this is an individual who has served the Attleboro community for 21 years. And I certainly I wish her the best and congratulations as she moves forward in a new professional challenge. But for those of us remaining, I think it's worth noting that it is part of the reason that the personnel report never takes up a lot of time on the agenda is while we appreciate all the contributions for whoever's name is on there, we need institutionalized practices so that way when we lose personnel, the students don't suffer. That being said, an outstanding principal who served the community for 21 years is not easy to replace. And I think it's something that all of us have to reflect upon and understand that if we have the institutions we need, we can survive personnel losses, and we will. We'll move on, and it's a great school community. It's got a tremendous faculty, and those students are going to be served well next year. But I do think that this is a moment where we have to stop and ask ourselves, and what can we do to make sure that we are a district where the best and the brightest educators want to work, and I think that has to start at this table. Thank you.
Bill?
I've only had limited interaction with Ms. Campbell, but I have had a number of people approach me and tell me how much they've enjoyed having her at Willett. So I want to make sure I pass that along, and thank you very much, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Fran?
We want to thank you for all you've done for our school system, and we'll certainly miss you, and we wish you well.
Yes, Ms. Campbell, I think, we sat here almost a year ago today, and there was a great discussion over the changes at Willett. They didn't have anything to do with your personality. They had to do with the loss of Miss Zinni moving to Peter Thatcher, and the strong support she had. I can honestly say during that time, you built your own support team over there, and they really stuck beside you, and you've done a great job. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize there was an unfortunate incident in Attleboro, and it could have happened actually at Willett too. Ms. Campbell stepped forward and said, that ain't happening in my school. And that's truly appreciative. That shows her leadership. On behalf of the committee, I wish you well on your future employment. And again, I can't express enough what, the leadership you've shown over there, following great leadership of Ms. Zinni. So again, I thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Okay, committee reports. Finance, Facility, and Procurement Subcommittee. Mr. Ken Parent.
I've got about 4 motions to bring forward to you today. One will be in conjunction with the Policy Subcommittee. First one, motion to no longer rent the 3 classrooms at Attleboro High School to the BICO Collaborative for FY14.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Oh, here none. Motion passes. Second motion, to approve policy KFB-R, regulation and fees for the use of Attleboro School Buildings with one modification of the track per hour for professional organizations to change from 400 to 350. If you do look, thank you, Bill. If you do look in the policy, they did make the change in the policy, so the policy you're looking at is the one that we're going to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Third, to approve the contract between Attleboro Public Schools and Project Connect for FY14 to rent the space at Briggs Corner School.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Final motion, to award the 1-year contract with 2 1-year renewal options to Crystal Glass pending receipt of an updated insurance certificate for the district's glass repair contract.
Second.
Do we have that updated certificate, Don?
Mr. Chair, I will check. I do not know if we have it yet or not, but I will
So,
check.
the motion will still stand pending.
Yes. Thank you.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Couple of warrants to go through. First one dated June 5th, 2013, the amount of $104,862.93. Appropriations of $15,978.66. Special funds of $22,266.34. Federal and state grants of $19,174.47. Revolving funds of $47,443.46. Second warrant dated June 12th, 2013, in the amount of $466,835.25, of which $318,015.12 appropriation budgets, special funds of $29,662.22, federal and state grants of $28,763.80, and revolving funds of $90,394.11. We do not currently have a meeting set up. We've discussed, I've actually sent out an email, got 3 different answers back from the 3 committee members besides me on finance. One was open to the meeting, another was unable to make it. Suggest that we have the future superintendent or future budget talks as we come next year. I think one was kind of in agreement with me, thinking that Tom has already suggested a backup plan, and maybe it would be best if we just had, if we do have an additional budget meeting, maybe we just do it as a full committee rather than start in finance and go from finance to the full committee and have 2 of the same discussions. In the past, we've talked about level funding if there's no increase in funds. And I think the business manager kind of reiterated that in an email sent recently. So I think that's the standing backup plan, and I think we should move from there and have a full committee meeting if the chair feels we should.
Well, I think my only concern is, Ken, I like to have recommendations come out of the finance subcommittee, as well as we deal with any budget or financial aspect. I know there's a lot of kinks that have to be worked out, and I don't even think we still have the final budget numbers, even as of today. But again, I would like to see it come out of the finance subcommittee before it goes to the full committee, just as well as we do any other recommendations that have to deal with the budget.
We did have a recommendation. Last discussion on the budget, the recommendation was that if we did not get any part of the 1.2, we'd have to basically start level funding. That was a discussion last time. I don't know, I'm not sure what additional recommendation we're gonna have. if we come back, being that it's June 17th, not having a final number, how are we gonna, I think it would be prudent to just have one full committee meeting sometime in the next 13 days, especially when our administration's doing everything that they have to do to end the school year. School ends 26. So, I mean, that's my thought. Oh, go ahead, Brendan.
Right. The 1.2 million, was that pretty much what was brought forward to us regarding like the science coordinator, the ELL, what do you call it, coordinator type, or what, all that bundle basically, was that the 1.2 million? Kind
The
of what
answer is no. It was a good portion,
Okay.
Mrs. Furtado. It was a good portion of the 1.2 million, but it wasn't just that. The primary thread is this: with the contractual increases.
I think we may have to stop you because I think
Okay.
since the budget is not up for discussion on the
Okay.
agenda item, I really don't think we'd actually talk about that right now.
Okay.
I think the only discussion would be if we should have it go back to finance, or we should just have one big meeting to talk about it.
All right, well, the other thing too, then I'll mention is that, I recommend to the full committee that I believe that, with the administration, superintendent's last day is, Friday, that Superintendent Sheehan be involved and he may already. I don't know. I know he's been, sitting with, Mr. Sawyer, with the superintendent and, Tom, that he's involved in this to see if we are cutting, because basically, he's gonna have to drive the bus.
I agree with
And
you.
it's left in his hands, so 1.2 million isn't, like, a drop in the hat. I mean, I'd rather, if we're gonna throw it at him, then he needs to be on board with us, and we're all throwing at it together, and we'll have to, move the bus forward. So that was my recommendation too. And the other thing is I would say, definitely a full committee meeting, get it out there, let the community know what's going to happen, and, with Superintendent Sheehan, and, I think we should go forward. That's my recommendation.
Nope.
I think we're, just a month or so ago, the finance subcommittee meeting, we kind of worked out the $66.6 million budget that we sent up to the full committee, which is what the full committee approved. I guess just from a procedural point of view, we should go back to the finance subcommittee meeting, and quite honestly, I think we all should be in attendance, but I think we should have it as a subcommittee meeting, and having Mr. Sheehan there to participate might not be a bad idea either. But I think procedurally, we should have the working meeting at the subcommittee level and agree on what the budget's going to look like, and then I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to get together again as a full committee and approve our budget. It's one of the 4 or 5 key things that, as a school committee, we're supposed to do, and one of them is to pass a balanced budget. And right now, we don't have a balanced budget, so my recommendation is that the finance subcommittee get together or convene a meeting, and as many of us who can be there in its entirety, be there, have the working meeting, and then bring it forward for a quick full committee meeting for approval, so.
I agree with the chairman of finance, Mr. Parent, that we did have a backup plan in finance, and that this should now be discussed up with the full committee, and I did voice my concerns. As you said, one finance committee member did say that Mr. Sheehan should be involved with administration, but we already have that contingency plan that we discussed. To just discuss it again, to me, doesn't make sense. I think it should be done at the full committee level.
Actually, I wasn't referring to you. more than I should say, more than one finance committee said that, Mr. Sheehan. I don't think anyone would disagree with that point. I guess my point is that the full committee has voted on a $66 million budget. The full committee now has to change it.
Dave, have a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, I'm not exactly sure if we're talking about like individual discrete decisions or if we're talking about approving a whole number. I mean, on one hand, if we've already approved a number greater than what the school department is ultimately going to be given, then I would say that we've already authorized the expenditure of 100% of what we're going to end up with. But beyond that, the only point I would really say, and I don't have a strong opinion whether we do the finance subcommittee or the full committee, but if the finance subcommittee convenes, and as Mr. Larson was saying, as many of us should be there as possible, if we're all there, then I would say, why don't we transition right into a full school committee meeting instead of, if we're all there anyway. That just,
Well, and I think Dave, you know,
But
excellent point.
either way.
Because if I have a finance committee and the whole committee shows up, I'm not gonna allow anyone to talk about the finance committee, you know? And
Well,
we're gonna have
then
to-
adjourn, and Mike will come in
Exactly.
and say.
So why don't we
full
just have a
meeting.
full, but then you have to set up agenda for it and have it posted 2 days and all the logistics. So that's what I'm saying, why not just go right to the full
And I'm fine, and whatever. I mean, I'm fine either way with regard to that. I'm just saying, if everybody's there, you know, let's post both meetings, and you can pass the gavel down to Mike, and
All right, I'll throw out a motion. I make a motion that we have a full school committee meeting at the next convenient time for the chairman to set up, so we can discuss the budget. No second?
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I mean,
Discussion, Ken?
I'm fine with it, let's just have a full meeting, but I'm obvious on my opinion. So let's just put it to a vote, and if it doesn't pass, and then the finance
Well, we
committee.
need some direction of where we're.
hold on. I'm not sure that we can pass a motion ordering the chairman to convene the committee. I mean, if the finance subcommittee is not going to convene, then one way or another, if we're going to go through this procedural step, then the Chairman Tyler will have to convene the school committee to do that. Again, I'm not exactly sure what vote we would be convening to take, but if we're convening to approve a total number, then it's really the administration just has to make a presentation, which I suspect they're ready to do, since they kind of already made that presentation when
Tom
we.
could make it right now if we had on the agenda.
Correct. So this, I think the meeting that we're talking about, Mr. Perrin, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably a pretty brief one. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, there's really no point in the finance, why not just get it done right away for the full committee?
Okay, I mean, I'm not sure I really want to vote to instruct Chairman Tyler to convene his committee. I mean, it seems to me that that's going to be the inevitable outcome if the finance subcommittee isn't going to convene, but.
I will amend my motion, a recommendation that the chairman sets up a meeting to discuss the budget and invites Mr. Sheehan in attendance, to have him be in attendance. Participate,
Help with the motions.
right, yeah, so there you go.
Listen, I don't want
A
to beat this, I don't want to beat this thing to death, okay?
We have to
And I
meet, so I'm
think
just
we
trying
are. I really do.
We just need to meet.
Okay, but all recommendations should come from the subcommittee level. That's what we do on everything, whether or not it's policy, finance, or curriculum. Okay, we don't know the final numbers. Mr. Rose should be in touch with Mr. Parent as the days get closer. If there's any changes in the budget thing, I don't think the Senate budget has passed yet. Or the governor's hasn't passed, I'm sorry. Tom?
Tom sent his email Saturday.
Yes.
I mean, we need to talk about, we're talking about the budget. I don't want to shut Tom off, he's our business manager. Tom, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The answer to your question, Mr. Chair, is the Barry Lacasse and the mayor have given us a number to drive to for net school spending. And that number, for now, is not going to change.
Okay.
And that number is the number that was presented by the city at the meeting, at the budget hearing last Thursday.
Okay, but we still have not got a final thing from the state that the Senate budget or the governor's budget has been cemented. Is that correct?
The answer is yes, Mr. Chair, but to be very honest with you, the important number that we need is the number that the city's gonna give us. And the city has given us that number. That number they gave us is of the 12th of June. And I've been with Barry, today. There isn't any indication that between now and June 30, that number's gonna change.
I just think my only point is this, Tom, even, and I know, I was at the budget meeting, I mean, yes, they don't expect the numbers to change dramatically anyway, but it could change less dramatically. $60,000 is a position for us. So that's what I'm talking about. There could be a change. And like I say, my recommendation stands. I mean, always go through the finance subcommittee to make a recommendation to the full committee. I think that should stand. I mean, that's the way we've always done things, you know, we don't put the cart in front of the horse here, you know. That's just my recommendation, the committee can vote as they want.
Well, why don't we just do it the same night? Do you think we could pay them as an hour bill?
I think you could do them back to back, sure.
You think you can hammer this out that way? We only can inconvenience the administration one more time.
Yep.
Tom,
All set.
we'll need a day from you. Mike, you took a day. 7 o'clock finance, 8 o'clock full committee. Does that work for people, general agreement?
Finance 7, what, regular 8?
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm doing a finance subcommittee, it's gotta be just finance people speaking.
Exactly,
We
so
gotta
I'll
do
see you
that.
at 8 o'clock then.
Well, you could sit in the audience, but I mean, everyone's welcome to sit in.
Yep.
So it'll be the 4 people on the finance committee and Mike as ad hoc members, plus welcome to join.
All right, so
And that way we could just hammer this out.
are we looking at next Monday? What are we looking at?
I'm not saying time's ticking. Yeah.
Well, right, so what are we looking at? Mike, do you?
Tom, would you send Mike a list of days, nights that are good for you?
To him? What about us?
Well, then Mike, because Mike will talk to us. I'm saying Mike coordinate, Mike can set the time for the school committee, he can talk to Tom. Dave?
Am I correct that this meeting is for essentially the administration to just present the revised number, which again is not going to be finalized? As the chairman said, at the State House, it's still in conference committee. That number could fluctuate for months, I believe, potentially. Shouldn't be by July 1st, but I don't think it isn't always. And so, are we basically, is the hope is to just vote on what is the final number that we already know?
No, none's gonna be given to us. I don't see any vote needed there. It's gonna basically be how we allocate the money. So, for example, we have 200,000 savings in one place, move it to here. But right now, the recommendation, I think, would be a level-funded budget because we don't have any moves right now.
The reason that I asked is that given the fact that we ultimately, there was less money appropriated than we had initially authorized, or had requested, excuse me, that authorization, that sort of is already authorized by the school committee because it exceeded the number that was appropriated or is going to be appropriated by the city. So it seems to me, and with regard to the plan, it's my understanding that the plan is what the plan was prior to our request to exceed that number. So it seems to me like there's very little flexibility, and it seems to me that the presentation would be relatively short. And I don't even, if we know the number already, I'm not sure why we couldn't just take a vote to approve that number now. But maybe there's a reason, I don't know.
Like, for example, I know there's say we know we've been offered 200,000 less in health, we could say, take that 200,000 and move it to teach salaries, the highest 3 teachers. Not the 400 increase that we initially asked for, not the 1.2 we initially asked for. 200,000, move out of the healthcare line, move the salary line. We may know there's some extra funded money that you could prepay stuff with. So, I mean, there's stuff we could talk about.
Okay, as long as, my understanding is that the presentation is going to be consistent with what the presentation has been throughout the course of this budget process. So, like I said, you call a meeting, I'm happy to be there, but I just I can't imagine that there's going to be any dramatic.
No.
Am I correct with that, Mr. Parent?
There's not going to be any dramatic.
Okay, that's all.
I think everyone knows what the number is, and we know where we started before any increases, so
Okay.
we know where we are.
I'm not sure we need an hour then, but
Probably don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Last comment, Kim, because the only reason I worry is one thing, because the hiring process has to be done during the summer. We don't want to pick up the hiring process in October or November, but the pool of candidates is going to be diminished, you know what I mean? So this is when we do our hiring for the positions that we wanted to add. And if there has to be some other place out of the budget that we decide to, withdraw from to fulfill those needs, that's the committee's decision to do so. I just don't want to, I want to make sure that the committee gives a clear picture to the administration of what we feel are the direct needs, and especially on the hiring process. I mean, the administration is going to need pretty soon. I mean, Tom, my suggestion is we make it as close to July 1st as possible, so these are the final numbers as we know them. But I mean, we can't just say that because the city is saying this month, we've said we've had needs. If we have to take out of some of the other programs to fit those needs, now's the time to instruct the administration to fill those hiring positions. And I'm just worried if we let it go too long, we're just not going to end up with the pool of candidates that we wish to have as a committee, that's all.
And I don't think I disagree with anything that the chairman just said. We have identified priorities throughout the budget process. There have been various presentations. We've known when we decided to request the additional funding, what the additional priorities, and it's just my hope that especially given the short amount of time that we're dealing with, that the administration's recommendations will be consistent with what they've been all along, and that the committee has had this entire budget process to go along and confer on those recommendations. So I just wouldn't want to see a situation where there were arbitrary decisions being made to say, well, you know, some constituents called over the week and they want, you know, this person, so let's fund it. And I think that process, in order for it to be responsible, has to stay consistent throughout the budget cycle. That was my only point. But like I said, call a meeting and.
Absolutely. I'll work with Tom on doing that. Yep.
Mr. Perrin, I will withdraw my, because it was seconded, we went and talked about everything else, my motion, and we're gonna have a meeting, bottom line.
Okay.
That's what
Absolutely.
I would
the intent
suggest
is.
if anyone in the finance committee has a question, I would say, in this case, probably just to expedite stuff, go right to Tom. Just copy me, because we can't copy each other, obviously. And then we can have a framework when we come in there, the questions. I think Tom's got this, I think Tom's got his ideas and he's got his kids working, but we'll shoot you questions with some framework, and that way we just have a quick meeting and make sure we're all on the same page. And then we'll go right into a full school committee meeting, and we'll push it to as late in the year as possible. However, I don't think the number's gonna change much, so I wouldn't make it, the weekend of June 30th, I think that's a Saturday or something else. I don't wanna do it that day. All right, I guess that concludes our business then.
Thank you, Kim. Moving on to policy subcommittee, Ms. Furtado.
The policy subcommittee needs to vote on policy KFB-R regulations and fees for use of Attleboro School Buildings. So I'm bringing forward that motion for the policy subcommittee members to vote on. So do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, I didn't hear from you by email. Are you all set with this?
It was my understanding that you only wanted to hear from us if we had any objections or concerns.
All right,
which
no
I don't.
problem, so you're good? Perfect. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion passed, Judy. And now I'm gonna bring it forward to the full committee. So for a vote, the policy subcommittee is bringing forward policy KFB-R, regulations and fees for use of Attleboro School Buildings.
Second.
Okay, any questions, discussions, anything? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions, opposed, nothing? Judy, it passes. We're good? All right, and that concludes my business, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
for the policy, and a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good, how you doing?
I will miss the good friend.
Oh, that's good as that.